14 states, Washington, D.C., Puerto Rico, Guam, and the U.S. Virgin Islands prohibit all drivers from using handheld cell phones while driving. Montana has no ban, and Wyoming bans all drivers from texting. No state bans all cell phones for all drivers. While there are no statewide bans in Montana, several Montana cities have banned cell phone use or elements of cell phone use, such as texting. With me now is Officer John Cook with the Helena Police Department to talk about distracted driving. Thanks for being with us today.
Oh, thanks for having me on the show.
We appreciate you being here. So in the video we just watched, that takes place in Pennsylvania, and Pennsylvania, like Montana, does not have a ban on cell phone use while driving. Some laws have become nationwide, like seatbelts, for example, but so far cell phones is not something the U.S. government has really tackled or taken on. What are your thoughts about that? Do you think that's something that could be coming down the road?
Most traffic violations or traffic codes are going to be up to the local, state or local governments to enforce or come up with those individual laws.
Okay. And so when I think of distracted driving, and we talked about this a little bit with Heidi, my mind first goes to cell phones. Are there fines if you're using a cell phone while you're driving?
Yeah, if you're stopped by a Helena City police officer and you get a citation, you're looking at possibly a $105 fine.
Wow, okay. And so that's a city law. And so as we mentioned, Montana has no ban against cell phone use. And so what happens then if someone causes an accident because they were on their cell phone and someone gets hurt, or worse, they cause someone to die? What happens to that person?
Well, we're going to invest each traffic accident basically the same way. We're looking for statements, we're looking for evidence. If we have enough information that distracted driving was a factor, they could look at some specific charges other than just the city ordinance. They may look at a reckless driving type of citation, or if somebody dies, maybe even a vehicular homicide type of, or negligent homicide type of charge.
Okay. How many accidents do you think are caused in Helena because someone is on their cell phone?
As far as actual stats, it's going to be hard for me to give a specific number.
Okay.
What I can tell you is traffic crashes in Helena is a very common occurrence, and we suspect that distracted driving is probably involved in more than we know.
Okay. And because those laws differ from city to city, depending on where you are, how can someone find out what that city's law is when it comes to using a cell phone?
It's pretty easy to research individual city ordinances. Usually that stuff is going to be available on their website. Most cities have them. But a good rule of thumb to follow is if cell phones or electronic devices are not allowed, just don't be using a handheld cell phone or electronic device in that city.
Okay, and we talked to Heidi about the fact that teens use cell phones a lot. Is that something that you've personally seen in your day-to-day work, that teens are more likely to be on a cell phone than older drivers?
Now it seems like everybody has a cell phone.
Sure.
But yeah, teen drivers, they're going to be a little bit more inexperienced in vehicles anyways. And if anybody who needs to pay more attention to the roadway, it's going to be teens. And yeah, unfortunately, we do come across situations where distracted driving does lead to accidents.
Okay. And if someone does cause an accident because they were on their cell phone or some other kind of distracted driving, what should that person do?
Well, hopefully you've called the police. The obvious is make sure that if there's any injuries, we know about it right away, and that person should relay that information to the dispatcher. And if you suspect that distracted driving was a factor, let the responding officer know as soon as possible, and he's going to conduct an investigation, which includes trying to get statements, trying to find people who may have witnessed that or wherever that information came from.
Okay, great. And since cell phones are so ingrained in our day-to-day lives, have you seen a shift in what main causes are for accidents? Is distracted driving on the rise for a cause, or are there still some causes that have been around that continue to be a problem?
Again, I'm not going to go into any stats. I'm sure there's a lot of research that has gone into a lot of this stuff. But in Montana, we still have environmental factors because, as far as icy roads and just long distances that individuals have to travel, there's always going to be those environmental factors, also wildlife, and there's impaired driving as well. Those things have always been there as long as I've been in law enforcement, but like we mentioned earlier, just people are using cell phones more and more, and I'm sure that is something that's definitely on the rise. I just don't have any stats to necessarily show that.
Okay. Do you know of any statewide laws that are maybe in the works right now to address distracted driving and cell phones?
I'm sure the conversations come up, but I don't know about any conversations on the state level with legislators where that's been talked about.
Okay. So if a city does ban cell phone use while driving, what does that mean for then when you stop at a stoplight? Can you still text or talk on the phone if you're stopped?
No, in the city of Helena, if you're still operating a motor vehicle, even when you're stopped at a stop sign or a stop line. Therefore, you're not going to be allowed to use your cell phone, just like if you were driving a car.
Okay, so you could still get pulled over for that?
Yes.
Okay. And then with everything that a law enforcement officer has in his or her vehicle with radios and phones and laptops, what are you as a police officer told when it comes to distracted driving?
Our policies and procedures for the Helena Police Department, they're basically in line with the city ordinance that everybody should obey as far as using a cell phone in a vehicle. Unless there's an emergency, we're not going to be using our cell phones either.
Okay. All right, great, Officer Cook. Thank you so much for all that information. We're out of time this week. I want to thank my guests, Heidi O'Brien and Officer Cook, for all their great information. Accidents caused by distracted driving are among the leading causes of injuries and death in the United States. Cell phone use is only one form of distracted driving, so please take care of potential distractions before you get behind the wheel. And as always, stay fit, stay well, and stay healthy for life with Healthy Living for Life. See you next week.
Healthy Living for Life is brought to you by Mountain Pacific Quality Health. We'd love to hear from you. If you have suggestions for future programs, visit our website at mpqhf.org or call us at 406-443-4020. You can also catch us on YouTube by visiting our website and clicking on the YouTube icon. Special thanks to Fire Tower Coffee House and Roasters. Production facilities provided by Video Express Productions.